Season 2 of The Chosen continues to humanize the gospel story, inviting viewers into the raw, transformative journey of Jesus and the growing community around him. With each new episode, the narrative deepens, not just in scope, but in the emotional and spiritual challenges faced by the disciples. The tension between old identities and new calling intensifies as Jesus' fame spreads, stirring excitement, confusion, and growing opposition. The season begins with Thunder, a reflective and intimate opener. We glimpse the future, 44 AD, where an older John interviews fellow disciples as he prepares to write his gospel. It's a framing device that gives weight to what's unfolding in the past, as the story returns to 26 AD. In Samaria, Jesus' ministry is rapidly expanding. Among the disciples, friction emerges. James and John wrestle with their sense of authority, clashing especially with the outspoken Simon Peter. As new followers like Thomas and Rama join the group, the human dynamics become even more layered. A powerful moment arrives when Jesus heals a Samaritan man named Melech, whose past as a robber mirrors the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's a moment not just of healing, but of deep cultural reconciliation. When James and John ask Jesus to rain fire on a hostile Samaritan village, he rebukes their fury and gives them the nickname Sons of Thunder.
You wanted to use the power of God to bring down fire, to burn these people up?
Well, it sounds a lot worse when you say it that way.
The episode closes with Jesus reading from Genesis in a Samaritan synagogue, a gesture loaded with meaning and one that subtly echoes the prologue John will later write. In the beginning was the Word. In episode 2, I Saw You, Jesus' following continues to grow as Philip, formerly a disciple of John the Baptist, joins the group. Philip brings along Nathanael, a gifted architect facing disillusionment after professional failure. Sitting beneath a fig tree, Nathanael cries out to God in despair. Later, Jesus meets him and utters words that shatter his doubt. I saw you under the fig tree. With this divine insight, Nathanael is drawn in. The episode also exposes the interpersonal tensions brewing within the group, particularly between Simon Peter and Matthew. The emotional contrast between Matthew's precision and Peter's impulsivity sets the stage for deeper growth and healing ahead. Matthew 4:24, named after the verse describing Jesus' widespread healing, zooms in on the toll of ministry. This episode centers the humanity of the disciples, flawed, tired, unsure, yet still clinging to hope.
Even advertising something that might not happen?
What if we've all been misled?
The story shifts in The Perfect Opportunity as the group travels to Jerusalem for the Feast of Tabernacles. The episode introduces Simon the Zealot, a trained assassin whose mission has been to violently resist Roman occupation. But Jesus' way is different. At the Pool of Bethesda, known for its supposed healing powers, Jesus restores a man named Jesse, paralyzed for 38 years. Unbeknownst to the disciples, Jesse is Simon the Zealot's estranged brother. Their tearful reunion draws a stark contrast between Simon's militant past and Jesus' peaceful path. The miracle not only heals a body, but also mends a fractured family. The theme is clear. True liberation doesn't come through force, but through faith. In episode 5, Spirit, tensions rise further. Shmuel and other Pharisees begin investigating the healing at Bethesda, seeking to uncover the identity of the man behind it. Jesus, meanwhile, meets with his cousin John the Baptist, who warns of the danger he now faces after publicly criticizing Herod.
I'm not ready to get into the specifics.
You appear to be not ready to get into the specifics of a lot of things. For instance,
Stay on topic.
The cost of prophetic truth-telling is becoming evident. Simultaneously, Mary Magdalene begins to unravel. Trauma and spiritual attack trigger a relapse into old patterns. A disturbing encounter with a demoniac shakes her deeply. Mary flees the camp, gripped by shame. Her arc this season is particularly poignant, showing that healing isn't always a straight line, and even the most faithful can falter under the weight of their past. Unlawful opens with the news of John the Baptist's arrest, casting a pall over the group. Jesus sends Simon Peter and Matthew to find Mary. Their journey becomes a quiet portrait of grace in action. When they locate her, she's broken and ashamed. But Jesus' response is immediate and tender. He welcomes her back without scolding, only love. It's a radical picture of redemption, one that underscores his desire for her heart, not perfection. Later, a Sabbath healing sparks confrontation in a synagogue. Jesus restores a man's withered hand, provoking outrage from the Pharisees. They accuse him of violating the law. But Jesus reframes the issue entirely. Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath? His compassion cuts through their rigidity, challenging their understanding of holiness. In Reckoning, the disciples begin preparing for a major public address, what will become the Sermon on the Mount. But growing momentum invites growing scrutiny. Roman officials, especially the calculating Quintus, begin to take interest in this so-called teacher-gathering crowds. Jesus is briefly detained and questioned, sending ripples of fear through the group. While he remains composed, the disciples spiral. Without Jesus' presence, they argue and reveal their inner anxieties. Upon his return, Jesus offers calm reassurance and begins to teach them how to pray. His words, later known as the Lord's Prayer, emerge from this very moment of uncertainty, grounding them in a deeper trust.
When we pray, we want to be sure to first start with acknowledging our Father in heaven and his greatness. So you can say, "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name." And we always want to be sure to do God's will and not our own. So we say, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth."
The season reaches its crescendo in Beyond Mountains. As Jesus prepares to deliver his sermon, we meet Judas Iscariot, introduced as a smart, business-savvy young man. His entrance is subtle, not sinister, yet there's a weight to his presence that hints at future betrayal. The episode is also a behind-the-scenes look at Jesus' preparation for the Sermon on the Mount. He and Matthew pore over ideas, the teacher drawing on the scribe's unique perspective. As the crowd assembles, Jesus begins to speak. His voice echoes across the landscape, delivering the Beatitudes, blessings not just for the powerful or the righteous, but for the poor, the meek, the mourners. The episode intersperses these words with flashbacks to the disciples' journeys. Mary's relapse and return, Nathanael's despair, Simon's burden of leadership, and more. Their stories breathe life into the sermon, anchoring it in lived experience.
If somebody asks you to tell a joke, tell them you have a vegetable joke, but it's corny.